Walraven crushes this one to left field. Hill goes back. This ball ain't coming back. A grand slam, Tom Walraven. Four runs on one swing. Home run number 14 for Walraven. And the RailCats lead it 8-0. Sanchez sets up outside. The 3-1. Walraven crushes this ball to left field. Did he do it again? This one ain't coming back. Two grand slams in one game for Tom Walraven. 9 RBI in just 3 innings. All hail King Wally. It's 14-0 RailCats.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savetic, and today we are going to be discussing Thomas Walraven leaving the RailCats on a trade that happened on January 6th that brought Matt Leon over to the RailCats. I'll do a separate podcast just on his stats, a short, quick one, that kind of stuff. But I just want to kind of make this one specifically for Thomas Walraven. And if you like the intro, please leave a like on on the video or on the podcast, and then I'll have a little outro, same difference kind of deal. But that was just showing he won the play of the year or plays of the year that went down to the voting and all that fun, cool stuff. So that was awesome that he got to win that award on an amazing. That was simply amazing. That game against Milwaukee, the second to last game of the year, having 9 RBIs in the first 3 innings, 2 grand slams back to back in innings in the second and third, and that first grand slam was really impressive because it wasn't like he just saw a pitch down the middle and he took it and it just went. I mean, he had to battle for it. I mean, I think 2 or 3 pitches before the grand slam, he had hit one and pulled it really left out of foul, and then he fouled a couple off, took a good handful of good pitches. So I mean, going back and you rewatch that at bat, it really was impressive, just the composure he put together, and then it just kind of tumbled from there. And it was just it was 2 outs, it was full count, bases loaded, and he just let it rip. And I think they won 21-1 in that game. So I mean, Walraven had his farewell breakout game that Sunday, and it was amazing to watch. I wish I was there in person. But being at home and being able to watch it was something that was straight up amazing. And Walraven's been with the the RailCats for 3 years. He's been in the league for 4 years, but he had that one weird COVID year where he played with the Winnipeg Goldeyes, but I don't really think he played at all. There was no stats for that, so it was interesting for him to be one of the cornerstones of the RailCats team for 3 years. Well-liked player by all the RailCats fans. A great guy. I was able to talk. He was the only player that I was able to talk to this year in the last game that I went to of the year at the Steel Yard. And, he was down to earth, really simple guy. He was, always willing to answer questions that I asked. It was just a fun time at the game, and then being able to sit there and talk to him, and especially about his future. We all knew this was kind of coming. He talked about being his last year, being from Connecticut, wanting to start teaching. So with him going to the Atlantic League, being closer to home, able to kind of be home and during the summertime potentially play baseball. And I mean, it was a good job by the RailCats to be able to purchase his rights basically, and then trade him for an asset. So it was good work on the RailCats for getting a player and just not kind of letting him walk to a certain extent, which none of us RailCats fans wanted to happen anyways. I mean, I guess he's really well respected player around the organization. Been there for 3 years, knew the ropes, that kind of stuff. But it is what it is when it comes to the American Association. Some people can't make it a living, and eventually you have to move on. And it was just one of those where you just wanted to move on, but still want to be playing, be able to play baseball. So hopefully, kind of get a little bit of him, some stats coming from the not American League, the Atlantic League, kind of keep up to date on that kind of stuff. But right now, let's just kind of go through a little bit of his stats. For him, he played 220 games. The RailCats had 225 hits, had a batting average of 282, an on-base percentage of 369, slugging 438, OPS of 807. He had had a career hits of 225. And then I was kind of surprised. I was just kind of going through all the different stats and like that. He only had one triple, and that came against the Winnipeg Goldeyes on July 23rd of this year, which is kind of weird. I just, being a predominant hitter, that kind of stuff, I know his power started to kind of come through this year. But with it being at the Steel Yard, that kind of stuff, with it being a bigger yard, I would kind of expect a little bit more triples. But hey, it is what it is. It was interesting. That was just kind of funny stat that I saw. And then he had 38 doubles, 28 home runs, 132 RBIs, 26 stolen bases. He walked 110 times and struck out 140 times. He jumped around from short to third to second. But like I said, I think majority of this year he played that DH role for Lamar Rogers, which they were kind of rotating around. They never really had a solidified DH. It was mostly third and DH. He kind of rotated around there on that. So it was it sucks that he had to leave. But like I said, with life, it kind of goes on. I just want to know your guys' thoughts and feelings of him leaving. What were some of your favorite memories from him? What was the thing that drove you to be support him or look forward to watching him play? Like I said, he to me, it's kind of hard to top what you did against Milwaukee with the 9 RBIs in the first 3 innings, which I really need to do my research and see how many times that's happened, even in the major leagues in general. I mean, just in baseball in general, because that is really impressive, and that's hard to beat. And surprisingly, and I get voting for the play of the year. It not necessarily was a play of the year. I think this should have been its own category, hands down. I mean, it should have won, and it did win the play of the year. It just an individual performance of the year, what offensively especially, what was Walraven on that game. When you're, no matter what he's done with the RailCats, as soon as you bring his name up, any RailCats fan's gonna think of that game, and what he did, because it was impressive. I mean, that's hardly ever, let alone hitting 2 home runs, I should say, let alone hitting 1 grand slam in one game, impressive. Hitting 2 grand slams in one game, really impressive. But doing it back-to-back at bats, that's out of this world. That is incredible. I want to know if anyone will be able to top that. I mean, the only way to maybe top that is if it was in the 8th and 9th inning, and the last one was to win the game. That's just a momentum sparker, and I think that's kind of what you got this year, especially from Walraven, was when he was on, and he was productive, and he was that driving force. Like I said, he kind of maybe was a little bit under, Langlois and Woodworth, just Woodworth just being consistent all year, and Langlois just being that offensive presence at the beginning of the year, especially being the all-star, being the rookie of the year kind of deal, that kind of stuff. It was just Walraven just kind of was there, and not there in a bad way. That's not there in a bad way, but he was there when you needed him to be that guy when he was that guy and that kind of stuff. So, you know, wherever you put him, he was going to give it 100%. You know, didn't play. You know, he rested a lot this year, kind of back and forth, especially the DH role, that kind of them always rotating people around. But like I said, I just really want to know what your guys' feelings were when you heard the news. I know most of us knew what was happening, but you know, I wish him the best in his journey forward going through life and that kind of stuff. And it was a pleasure and an honor watching him play because he was a player that you could like. He was just instantly, you heard the name, you saw him play, and you know you liked him. And it was just one of those players that it was just easy to root for. He was the embodiment of, you know, something that the RailCats should be proud of, and a model figure to kind of move forward to in that aspect of it. So but yeah, just let me know what you guys thought, you know, thoughts of him, favorite memories, favorite moments, interactions, anything like that from Mr. Walraven. I would like to hear it as well from you guys. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up. I know it was a short little quick one, but you know, maybe the video, the highlight of the 2 Grand Slams kind of helps you know, progress it a little bit longer. Like I said, it's not like I didn't have an interview with him, so it's, you know, you can only talk so much about certain things. I think, you know, having that Grand Slams kind of toppled over his 3 seasons with the RailCats. That was the big focal point and what everyone's kind of focused on, which is not a bad thing. But, like, you know, we just want to remember his legacy with the RailCats. So if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends, all that other good stuff. The Matt Leon, talking about him, is probably going to come out sometime next week. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of go from there. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.